based on what we've heard so far, do you think it was the right move to put Murdaugh on the stand?
I think the defense had to put Murdaugh on that stand. He had to explain multiple items, particularly that kennel video where he said he wasn't there multiple times. He said it on the 911, call. He said, basically, I just arrived and I had not been there. So he told SLED, he told everyone he wasn't there. So he had to explain that. And I do think that he did a decent job on the stand. He was a little over-emotional, but I think that overall, as a defense witness, it's something that every attorney thinks about before they put somebody up there. All in all, I think he did a decent job.
At one point, Murdaugh actually faced the jury. He did that a lot throughout the testimony, but he was facing the jury when he admitted to lying to police about having been at the crime scene earlier that night. Now, he blamed this on being paranoid because of the situation and also because he has an opioid addiction problem and was on opioids that night. How effective do you think that was, that part of the testimony, and how crucial was it?
Well, I think the explanation is only one of a few explanations he can give, saying that he was paranoid and so he lied. But I don't think the jury really believed that. I mean, you think about people lying, it's because there's culpability there and they have this consciousness of guilt, so they're lying about things. And if you lie about something like that, he said he wasn't at the scene right before the crime happened. What else are you lying about? And so I think that his explanation that he was paranoid really wasn't a rational explanation, and it wasn't something I think the jury was going to believe, but he had to say something, so that's what they came up with.
The prosecution then also pressed Alec on his mistrust of law enforcement, which is one of the things he said. I don't really trust law enforcement. I don't trust SLED. They were asking me all these questions. And they also pressed him, and we saw this in Eva's piece, on him calling his son repeatedly Paw, using this nickname, saying, oh, did you use this at all in any of the recorded statements? Do you think they effectively created questions of credibility there?
Absolutely. And, the Paw situation, it got on my nerves. I'm sure it got on the jury's nerves. And I think that the prosecution brought that up because they wanted to show he's really making all of this up. He's looking in your eyes and he's just telling you things because he wants to convince you. He's conniving, he's cunning. We heard Mark Ball say, oh, he's very cunning. And I think he's going through each of these financial crimes, even though it's tedious, because what prosecution is trying to say is Alex Murdaugh looked in the eyes of all of these clients, and some very sympathetic clients, and lied to them. And I think in closing, you're going to hear the prosecution say, he's looking in your eyes, jury, and he's lying to you too.
Now, of course, the defense is hoping that these situations will be relatable, that other people will hear that and say, oh, yeah, I can understand how you would feel intimidated in that situation and maybe want to lie, etc. So when Murdaugh takes the stand again today, what do you think the prosecution needs to do to prove their case against him? Because ultimately that burden is, of course, on the prosecution.
Absolutely. I hope one thing they don't do is go back over the financial crimes. I think that has been established, and I think the jury might even begin feeling a little sympathetic for Murdaugh, because he did say, look, I stole from these people. It was wrong. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. So I think they're going to have to move off of that and go to other areas. One of the areas I do think they're going to have to explore is this roadside shooting.